Good morning. Presentation skills are very important. You will have to make quite a lot of them, right from your studenthood through your career, to your friends, to your bosses, to your teammates as well. To be a good presenter, there are quite a few skills that you have to acquire. This video tutorial will help you get started, but ultimately practice makes you perfect. This video is all about preparing, designing, and delivering a presentation. Now, the prepare part has a couple of aspects to it: what to prepare and how to prepare. But how to prepare is beyond the scope of this tutorial. You might have learned about various reading skills, various listening skills. So, that is how you prepare. But for a presentation, what do you prepare? Well, in general, this slide would show you what has to be prepared. Any presentation requires a title. For this video presentation that I'm running in the background, the title was Presentation Skills with PowerPoints. And there was a subtitle which mentioned the course code of which tutorial this is being planned about. You need a content, so the audience must be aware of what is being spoken about. Preparing, designing, and delivering a presentation is what is the content of this video. You have to introduce the topic. So maybe you introduce it through your speech, or maybe you can have a slide on that. But in general, the structure of your presentation requires the introductory part. It requires a body. Now, in the body part, depending on the kind of presentation you're making, if it is to tutor, there are some things that it has to have. If it is a research or a project presentation that you're making, then there are slightly more details that has to be added. But in general, it requires the body part. And you conclude. If it is a research presentation, then you might as well have to add the references part. Any general presentation requires details in it. If it is a research or a project presentation that you're making, then your hypothesis, the methods with which you make your study, the results you obtained, and a few discussions on the results and how you interpret the results has to come in as part of your presentation. So in general, these are the details that has to go into any presentation. What to prepare. The second aspect of any presentation is the design, because you do not want to kill your audience with a bad presentation. Always remember that your design or your presentation has to go into a wide range of audience. Probably if it is in an academic setting, if it is in a classroom, maybe 60 participants, maybe 60 people are there. If it is a conference, maybe it varies between 15 to maybe 120, and that too people of different age groups come in. So your presentation has to be in such a way that it caters to the audience as well. A few tips that might help you. Primary tip of anything that you do out there is to kiss it. As one of my professors said, keep it simple and stupid. So whatever you do, make it as simple as possible. And there are a little bit of subtle stupidity that needs to be catered to. One of the stupidity any presentation or any presenter always misses out is the aspect ratio of the presentation. You need to be aware of where is this presentation being made. Right now, I am making this presentation on a computer screen. Had I had to present this on a projector in your classroom being displayed on the white screen, there might have been slight changes that I should have made. One of those things is the aspect ratio. How is the presentation being projected? Is it being projected on a 4:3 LCD projector, something that you have in your classroom, in a general classroom setting, or is it on a wide screen? A presentation made on a wide screen being projected on a normal projector might not look good. So your presentation has to be designed keeping in mind the aspect ratio on how is it being projected. And then comes the part of background choosing. Well, there are many schools of thoughts in selecting an appropriate background for a PowerPoint. Some would prefer to choose a light background with dark letters on it because they find easy to read. Some others prefer a very dark background with light letters as it stands out. Well, my personal preference, it depends on the occasion. For an academic setting, I would prefer a light background with dark letters, but for a corporate setting, I would prefer the other. Academic setting is what we do in class. That is the LCD projector. That is my point here. The projection is on an LCD projector on the white screen that hangs down. The corporate environment might most probably be an LED TV, the big LED TVs, or maybe an LED wall that runs the entire podium. In such a setting, I would prefer the other one. And by the way, you see this slide over here is exactly how not to make a slide. Stay tuned, let us see how it's going to work. What I want, or what in general people would love to see in a presentation, is appropriate usage of pictures and minimal text and minimal bullets. While you use pictures, make sure that you just use one image per slide. Please don't use collages, lots of pictures coming in, or entire photo album, because people get confused on which image to focus their attention to. One image will help. Okay, let us see how this slide can be better presented. While choosing about backgrounds, about the academic setting, this slide will help. I use a picture, I use a light background with dark letters and with minimal text on the slide. So on this slide, I would present while choosing a background for an academic environment, a light background with dark text stands out because it would increase the readability for participants or for the audience. And this slide here would show the other case on a corporate environment. An example I chose is the iPhone release party. Steve Jobs or Tim Cook, when they come up with releasing a new model of the iPhone, you know how the setting is. The corporate environment with a huge LED display wall in the back end. Here, the highlight is the presenter, not the content of the presentation. But in an academic background, the presenter is of no much importance. It is the content that is being delivered that has to stand out, hence the light background. While making any presentation, there are two golden rules that one will have to follow. We call it the 10-20-30 rule and the 6x6 rule. The 10-20-30 and the 6x6. What are these? The 10-20 rule, 20-30 rule is very beautiful. Approximately have 10 slides in your presentation. Now it depends. Certain conferences or certain setting might require you to limit your presentation to 5 slides, maybe 3 slides. There are even competitions which limit your presentation to 1 slide. But in a general presentation, follow the 10 slide rule. The second part, 20, shows you maximum 20 minutes. In general, I would say one slide takes about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes of presentation. At most two, not more than 2 minutes on one slide. Be very particular about that. And 30, use a minimum font size of 30 because in whatever setting that you're speaking about, you need to make sure that every participant in the audience can see the presentation properly, be it if he is seated at the front row or at the back row. So a minimum font size of 30 is a requirement. The second part of the 6 by 6 rule. On one slide, use maximum 6 lines. So not more than 6 lines in one slide and not more than 6 words in one line of a slide. Now this would improve visibility across the hall. Your usage of words. Use points only with no too much information. See the first slide on backgrounds. Everything what I wanted to speak out was typed out on the slide. Don't do that. Use only points in the slide. What has to come out of your mind has to come out of your mind. You have to present what has to be presented. Just points to back what you say has to go into the presentation. And there's another key rule of the 6 points that the 6 lines that you put out on the slide. Make sure that there are no more than 2 or 3 very important points in one slide. Okay. Now, it might at first seem very difficult given the limitations on the number of slides and the points that you want to present, but the, the key factor here is to identify what are the more important points that you want to be put up on the slide and what you want to speak out as you present. Identifying that is key and that is very, very important. The choice of font you use in a slide is very, very important. I would not prefer fancy fonts because it is very difficult for people now, of a certain age to read such fancy fonts. I wouldn't, at my age, I would not prefer a slide with fancy fonts where when I kind of want to read out from a presentation. For presentations, we better use standard fonts like the Calibri or the Helvetica, Georgia, Times New Roman is perfect. No too big letters, not too small letters as well, but never in capitals. A slide typed out in all capitals means you're shouting out at someone. That is not there in any presentation. Subtle keys between keep your presentation good. You see that different over there? Don't use different colors in a slide because it decreases readability. It might look good, like kind of having googly fonts and googly colors on the screen, using multiple colors on a single slide might look attractive, but it reduces readability. Never use too many colors in one slide. I prefer using just one different color to emphasize whatever you have to emphasize. So, in general, there is light background with dark text, but use keywords can go in a different color or maybe even bold out the keywords so that that word gets emphasized. But no different colors. Now comes to the delivery part. How do you actually deliver your presentation? Well, we've done quite a few parts of this. This slide here shows that you have to present yourself properly, being well groomed. Now, being well groomed does not always mean that you need to have a clean shave. You can have a mustache and you can have a beard, but make sure that it is properly shaped. You've combed your hair, be well groomed, and dress well for the occasion. As a student, I would prefer you, if you have a coat, you call it a blazer. If you have a blazer, it improves your confidence to face an audience. What we usually used to do when we were back in college, we wouldn't go ahead and run around to buy a new pair of blazers costing around 15,000 rupees from the next 1% showroom. What you can do is you can borrow out from your friends or maybe from your seniors, but when you face the audience, be well dressed, well groomed, and present yourself properly. That improves your confidence. Your body language is very, very important. See Mr. Amitabh Bachchan over there, leaning slightly forward. Now, this leaning forward improves your connect with the audience. Appropriate use of hand gestures, and always maintain good eye contact with the participant. You might have to look through your audience and make sure that you connect personally with every participant in the audience. Voice modulation. Improve your voice, emphasizing things. Mr. Amitabh Bachchan is the best example I can show you on that point. Credibility of your presentation is quite important. I've you know showed you one of these speeches by Dr. Shashi Tharoor in class. Use facts and figures like 75 percentage of participants would enjoy a presentation which has more pictures in it when compared to too much information. Improves credibility. He has beautiful body language and obviously he carries himself around beautifully well. There are a lot for us to learn from people like that. Well, to conclude, prepare well for your talk or your presentation. Make sure that you design your presentation well and deliver it. Go ahead, just do it.